What's up, everyone? Welcome to this week's Real Estate Investing Weekly Lesson. I'm Greg Helbeck, and I'm a real estate investor. I've been doing this for over 8 years now. I've done almost 200 houses, got everything from rentals. I've done flips, wholesales, owner financing, you name it. I've probably done at least one of them, multiple states all across the country. So the goal of this little podcast series is to share with you lessons that I've learned that I do, so you can take this and apply it. So in this video, I'm going to talk about covering your assets, not ass, assets. So if you're a real estate investor, there's this old adage, it's not if you get sued, it's when you get sued. And, real estate is a very quote unquote risky asset because there's a lot of liability that can happen inside of mostly anything, rentals, wholesaling, you name it, there's liability. So anyone who says real estate is risk-free is obviously talking out of their sphincter, as they say. So let's get into covering your assets. I don't know why I'm saying it like that, like a country hillbilly. So the first thing that I've done that I just actually did this week, and I've studied this extensively before actually doing it, is creating a Wyoming LLC, right? And why you're saying, why would you create a Wyoming LLC? And before I get into why you should do that, I want to let you know I am not an attorney. I am not a tax person. I'm not a CPA. This is not legal or accounting advice, so please consult with an actual attorney or tax person, CPA, before you obviously take action. This is not to be portrayed as legal advice or tax advice for that matter. So why Wyoming LLC? So at the end of the day, a Wyoming LLC, from what I've seen, and now I'm doing it, has the best asset protection in America. The reason is because the laws in Wyoming. So when you create a Wyoming LLC, there's very strong asset protection laws around that LLC. So what would you create a Wyoming LLC for? Well, the first reason is you can use that LLC to hold cash inside of it, almost like a little, I guess a virtual safety box. If you have a Wyoming LLC and you put cash in that and you treat it as a business and you use it for business purposes, obviously to like do deals and whatever, it's just generally speaking a safer way to hold your money because it's not personally in your name, it's in the LLC. So it's just a layer of asset protection. Another reason to use Wyoming LLCs for rental properties, and I haven't done this yet, so I want to be transparent about that, but I'm in the works of doing this, is you can isolate your assets. And the way that you generally do it, once again, this is not legal advice, so I want to be very clear about that, is you create a Wyoming Holding LLC. So you make one big LLC for your rental holdings. That could be like your management company, or just your overall umbrella company. So you create a Wyoming Holding LLC, and that's like the parent company. That's like the big giant company on top of everything. And then each rental you own, depending on how many units you have, you make individual LLCs for that specific address. So let's say you own 5 rental properties, you'd create 5 LLCs in whatever states they're in, obviously depending on where you're investing, for that individual state, so not in Wyoming. But then you make the LLC managed by the Wyoming LLC. So if someone tries to see who owns that LLC in whatever state you're in, they'll see that the manager, not the member, the key there is the manager, is a Wyoming LLC called whatever your LLC name is. So basically, if you get sued, the attorney is not going to have an easy time figuring out who owns that property because there's a lot of frivolous lawsuits. There's a lot of attorneys out there who are just trying to shake people down for no reason because they know they can do it. So obviously, if you do something wrong, you need to be liable for it. And I'm not trying to say do all this to not have to pay any responsibilities. But I'm saying that if you get into a frivolous lawsuit that's a glorified shakedown and, an attorney, a plaintiff attorney sees you have a Wyoming LLC, they're probably not going to want to go after you because they know it's going to be very difficult to really find out who owns that LLC. So once again, I'm not saying if you do something wrong, you should be able to get out of jail free. I'm saying if there's a mistake at your property and you're held liable, you should be, paying the damages. But you want to avoid frivolous lawsuits because there's a lot of fugazi out there. And if you have a Wyoming LLC, it really can, generally speaking, add some pretty good asset protection. Obviously, nothing's bulletproof, but at the end of the day, the Wyoming LLC is a very strong way to cover your assets. You can obviously use it to put your cash into it, almost like a virtual safety box. You can also use it to be the managing or like the holding company for all your other rental properties, just a way to add protection because there's a lot of people out there that they want to shake down landlords. And listen, I'll be honest with you, man, I'm on both sides of the table. I'm a renter and I'm almost also a landlord. There's bad landlords out there. There are really scummy, bad landlords who don't do the right thing, who treat their tenants like crap, who don't fix stuff. And those people should be held responsible. But at the end of the day, there are also good landlords out there who unfortunately get shaken down. So if you get into a frivolous lawsuit that's not your fault, you shouldn't have a plaintiff's attorney to be able to take everything you own. So there's a lot more information on this. I would actually recommend, I'm a client of theirs, Anderson Business Advisors. Clint, Coons, and Toby Mathis, they're the owners of that company. They are phenomenal. They are the best asset protection attorneys I've ever seen. They have, in my opinion, the most free information out there on the internet that you can consume. So if this is something you're interested in, my recommendation to you is to really consume Toby and Clint's YouTube channels. They both have their own YouTube channels. They are phenomenal. Like I watch their YouTube channels every single day for at least 30 minutes. And then check them out at andersonbusinessadvisors.com. I highly recommend. This video is supposed to be almost just like a little intro, stuff that I've learned, stuff that I do. But if you want to really get into the weeds with this, number one, you should become an Anderson client. And number two, you got to check out their channel. They have fire information. It's so valuable, so knowledgeable, and they're very good communicators too, so they don't make it boring. A lot of people fall asleep when they hear about this stuff, but they are the best in the business, in my opinion. So that's a little asset protection 101 right there. Wyoming LLC can be a pretty powerful tool there. Obviously, this is not legal or tax advice, and I'm not saying use a Wyoming LLC to hide and not be responsible for things you might have done, but you use the Wyoming LLC to avoid frivolous lawsuits with shakedown pit bull attorneys that are just trying to shake you for all you got, even though you didn't do anything wrong. So hopefully this was a helpful video. If it was, let me know. And if you got a deal, if you want to do a house with me, if you're a wholesaler, if you're a flipper, whatever, if you want to JV a deal with me and you're in Delaware, New York, Reno, or San Diego, email me, greg@velocityhousebuyers.com, and I'll see you on the next Real Estate Investing REI weekly lesson. Take care. Bye.